Thank you, Rita. Hello, I'm Claire Summers. Welcome to Wales Today. Tonight's headlines. A jury in the inquest of a grandfather of three who died in a house explosion in Morriston fails to determine the cause of the blast because evidence was removed from the scene in the search for him.
The family of Brian Davies say they've been let down by authorities. They will never know how he died.
Also tonight, we'll hear how a WhatsApp chat between two organised crime bosses helped police bring down a multi-million-pound drugs empire. High winds and heavy rain batter Wales, causing flooding, power cuts and travel disruption. Torrential rain in Swansea left some cars submerged as water levels rose. Does Wales need a fourth national park? It would stretch across parts of North East Wales and Powys and include scenery like this. A public consultation is underway.
Hello, Glamorgan's men's side could achieve promotion this week, while the women in their first ever season missed out on silverware, but are optimistic about plans to turn professional.
What a fantastic place for women's cricket to be in. So, yeah, I know that there'll be lots of girls looking to be in a professional side, and they worked really hard to achieve that.
Good evening. The family of a man who died in a house explosion in Swansea say they'll never have closure after an inquest jury were unable to determine the cause of the blast that killed him. The court heard evidence had been removed from the scene in the 6-hour search for 68-year-old grandfather Brian Davies. He died in the explosion at his home in Morriston in March in 2023. 3 others, including a 14-year-old boy living in the house next door, were taken to hospital. Our reporter, Mallory Williams, is on the street where it happened this evening. Mallory.
This behind me is where Brian Davies's house used to be. There's nothing here now. It was completely demolished in the explosion, and key evidence was taken away and disposed of as emergency services tried to locate Mr. Davies. That means that his family will never know what caused the blast that killed him.
An explosion that led to this scene of total destruction. It was described as a war zone. This video, filmed by a resident, shows the rubble on Clydach Road after the blast in the home of 68-year-old Brian Davies, where he died. 3 other people were taken to hospital, including a 14-year-old boy who was launched out of his bedroom onto the street during the explosion.
The purpose of this inquest wasn't to attribute blame, but to establish the facts surrounding Mr. Davies's death. His family wanted answers, but much of the evidence was taken away from the scene in the 6-hour search for his body.
His family said they will never have closure and feel extremely let down because the authorities, they said, lost key evidence to determine the cause. They don't want any family, they added, to face the heartache they have gone through. The Health and Safety Executive witnesses said in the inquest that a leak in a gas main close to the house was a viable cause for explosion, but that a gas leak existing within the house couldn't be ruled out as the evidence had been lost in the rescue effort. Police said that only a gas cooker, boiler and meter were preserved for investigation. A neighbour told the jury she had smelt gas about a fortnight before the blast. The ceiling fell on her that day after she heard a loud bang. She and her son, she said, had therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder. South Wales Police, who the jury heard were responsible for the preservation of evidence at the scene, said during the inquest that the priority was trying to save Mr. Davies. We've asked the force for a statement today. The Health and Safety Executive added it notes the narrative conclusion reached by the inquest jury and will respond to any requests from the coroner accordingly. They, as well as Wales and West Utilities, offered their sincerest condolences to Mr. Davies's family and friends and others impacted by the incident. It left a community in shock, a day that so many will never forget.
Coroner Aled Griffith said today that he will write to South Wales Police and the Health and Safety Executive in relation to the preservation of evidence for future investigations, and that will offer the family some comfort in their grief, but it will be difficult to move on without knowing how Brian Davies died.
Maleri in Morriston, thank you very much. Other news tonight. Police on Anglesey have arrested a woman on suspicion of being in possession of an offensive weapon. 2 Holyhead primary schools were briefly locked down amid unconfirmed reports that a person had been seen in the Kingsland area of the town carrying an axe. The school subsequently reopened. A man accused of causing the death of a father of 2 by driving dangerously has told a court he had been driving in a careful and considerate way in the run-up to the crash and had not been racing with his brother. Umar Ben Yousaf is on trial with Abu Bakr Ben Yousaf following a collision between Newtown and Welshpool in November last year, which killed Rhys Jenkins and seriously injured his 9-year-old son. Both men denied charges of causing death and serious injury by dangerous driving. Sarah Easdale reports from Mold Crown Court.
The court's heard today from Umar Ben Yousaf, who was driving an Audi A4 that night behind his brother's BMW X3, which was in direct collision with Mr. Jenkins' car. He told the jury how they both left the Aberystwyth flat they shared during the working week to head back to Manchester on that evening, November the 16th, in separate vehicles, parked in different locations, and they didn't leave at the same time, he said. He said there was no agreement to race along the road and no banter before they set off about who would get there first. Mr. Ben Yousaf said it was the case he'd overtaken a number of vehicles along the A483, but he said he hadn't gone above the speed limit. He recalled the moments leading up to the collision taking place and explained that he'd overtaken a van on a straight and could see but not identify another vehicle ahead, which he said was several car lengths away. That vehicle appeared to lose control, he said, leading him to slow down his own car. As the distance began to shorten, he said he could see it was his brother's BMW. After the collision, he said he pulled over to the other carriageway with his lights on to warn oncoming vehicles about the accident. Under cross-examination, he was asked about why he and his brother had left the scene in the Audi. He said he was in a panic seeing his brother in not a well state. He told the court he drove away from the scene with the intention of taking his brother to hospital in Shrewsbury, but he stopped at a Tesco car park near Welshpool so he could think clearly, also using the toilet at the supermarket. He said it was incorrect. His first thought was, let's get away as fast as he can. He said it was also incorrect that he and his brother knew what they had done and that their manner of driving had led to catastrophic consequences. The trial continues.
Police have revealed how a WhatsApp chat between 2 organised crime bosses led to the downfall of a drugs gang. Robert Andrews from Newport is serving almost 15 years in prison for supplying illegal drugs on what was described as an industrial scale. Well, officers were shown messages where Andrews and another gang leader joked that they'd either end up millionaires or sharing a cell. Kaylee Thomas reports.
This is the moment police raid the home of suspected drug dealer Robert Andrews.
Oh my God!
In a covert operation lasting 9 months, he was caught on camera exchanging drugs. This detective sergeant from Gwent Police led the investigation into his drugs empire.
I can't tell you my name due to my role as a covert officer within the police. For me, nothing really stood out. Seemed like a fairly average guy. Always wore work clothes, lived in a regular house, had a partner, children. Nothing flash about him at all, no high-valued vehicles, no designer clothing. Nothing sort of screamed out to me at that point, this person's a drug dealer.
But his WhatsApp messages suggested otherwise. These messages were sent to Kerry Evans, the head of a large Merthyr-based drugs gang who are now serving nearly 80 years between them. It was after his arrest that police found WhatsApp messages on his phone, revealing that Andrews was supplying him with cocaine.
I've got some of those text messages here in front of me that were exchanged between Kerry Evans and Robert Andrews. I can clearly see that they're talking about buying and selling cocaine from each other. They clearly know that they're heavily involved in criminality because they then go on to joke about they're either going to be millionaires or sharing a cell together at some point in the future.
Surveillance footage captured by police showed Robert Andrews exchanging drugs and money in carrier bags, often in this place police dubbed the clearing.
As you can see, it's a very dense area. You'd only really go there if you knew it or you had specific directions. So I think it was a real safe place where, you know, the organised crime group could conduct their criminality and feel like, you know, they weren't in the public eye. We would see a number of exchanges taking place in this clearing.
Including this one, where in less than 30 seconds, Andrews passed drugs to a waiting taxi driver. That taxi is then followed and stopped.
So we believe those to be Class A drugs.
Officers find 2 kilograms of cocaine worth around £200,000 on the streets, leading to a 6.5-year sentence for taxi driver Mohammed Yamin.
What items did you pass to Mohammed Yamin on that day?
No comment.
The investigation into Robert Andrews by Gwent Police found he'd supplied at least 85 kilograms of cocaine and 22 kilograms of heroin, with a wholesale value of over £2.1 million. He's now serving a sentence of 14 years and 8 months. The investigation into Andrews also led police to one of his key suppliers. Nathan Jones from Bolton is serving an 18-year sentence for supplying 50 kilograms of cocaine to the group, costing Andrews £1.1 million.
This is without doubt the largest case I've ever had involvement with. He was a dealer's dealer. Ultimately, one way or another, whether it's you slipping up or someone you're associating with, everything comes to the surface.
I hope this sends out a strong message to anybody who's involved in this type of criminality or thinking of entering into it, that drug crime has no place in our communities and there will be consequences.
Detective Chief Superintendent Andrew Tuck ending Kayleigh Thomas's report there. And you can see much more on this story on Catching a Crime Boss. It's available now on the BBC iPlayer. Now, were you affected by the stormy weather? Wind speeds of up to 66 miles an hour were recorded in some areas last night following a yellow weather warning that has just been lifted. National Grid says hundreds of homes were left without power in South West and Mid Wales today. One of the areas affected is Cwmbwla in Swansea, which was hit by flooding. From there, Lle Bleddyn reports.
After torrential rain, cars remain submerged on Cwmbwla roundabout, with locals and nearby businesses now counting the cost.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, nothing. Been here 40 years. Man and boy.
And nothing
like
this?
No. So I don't know what's going to happen with this water.
My girlfriend drove through the area with our daughter in the car, and she come and collect me from my office in town. And basically, as we saw first car break down and we got home, I ran down to see if I could help anyone. But the fire rescue had the boats in place ready, and they were evacuating families from the houses around the corner.
Drivers are therefore being advised to take alternative routes, and whilst the yellow warning has now come to an end, hundreds of properties across Wales remain without power.
And Sabrina will have a full weather forecast for you a little later on the programme. You're watching Wales Today. There is plenty still to come on tonight's programme. What a season. We catch up with Glamorgan's women and hear about their goal to turn professional in 2 years.
And it's been wet and windy over the last couple of days with a peak wind gust of 66 miles per hour. So through the week ahead, will things quieten down or will it remain unsettled? Join me later for that full forecast.
Now, plans to create a new national park for Wales are coming under scrutiny again, with people being asked to share their views. Natural Resources Wales has started a 3-month consultation into proposals for Glyndŵr National Park, which would stretch from the Denbighshire coast to North Powys. With all the details, here's Matthew Richards.
From Eryri to the Pembrokeshire coast and Banau Brycheiniog, Wales's existing national parks are famous for their views, And plans for the first new one here since 1957 are already attracting strong views from supporters and opponents alike. Glyndŵr National Park could cover 150 square miles from the Denbighshire coast, taking in the Clwydian Range, Llangollen and down to Lake Vyrnwy in Powys. Today, Natural Resources Wales launched its latest public consultation on the plans.
There is an existing national landscape, the Clwydian Range and Dee Valley, which is active and does a lot of good work in the community. What the national landscape doesn't have is the certainty of long-term core funding. So a national park, if it's established, would have that certainty in terms of long-term future funding and investment.
But despite claims that landscapes and communities will be protected, there is concern from many, including some of the local authorities in the proposed park area. Traffic and parking issues in Eryri or Snowdonia have raised fears about other potential pinch points.
Well, Penycloddia, the parking there at the moment is you can't park there anywhere at the moment. The road's going up to the man's good. So if we have a 3 or 4 fold in people coming to visit the area like we've seen in the Snowdonia National Park, it just wouldn't cope with it. It'd be more of a hindrance than a benefit, I think. Yeah, I'm not against the National Park at all. I think there's lots of positives that could come from it. It's just that we want clarification of more of how it's going to be run, really.
Most of the funding for the park would come from the Welsh Government, but councils may have to contribute as well. Corwin is one of the towns which could find itself in Glyndŵr National Park. People here are just as conflicted as the wider public.
I'm not against it, really.
I'd like to see more details first.
Yes.
More tourism, because maybe it might be over.
Yeah.
Over tourists.
Then again,
it's good for business.
Tourism is good for the business. It's in Corwin.
We've got Snowdon not far away, which gets lots of visitors. Okay, there's lots of traffic problems, but I think visitors into this whole area should be encouraged.
Corwin is known for its links to Owain Glyndŵr, after whom the new park will be named. He spoke up when his homeland was undergoing change. Now everyone is being urged to make sure their voices are heard during the 3-month consultation period to help shape what comes next. Matthew Richards, BBC Wales Today, Corwin.
Now, if you're a fan of the singer and songwriter Lewis Capaldi, he's been named as the first act to headline at Blackware Fields in Cardiff next summer. Well, the location was used for a series of summer concerts this year, with stars like Stevie Wonder and Alanis Morissette attracting thousands of people. Well, the council say the events provided a boost to the local economy, but concerns were raised over the noise levels and that the area was fenced off to the public. Here's Owain Evans.
Getting ready for a summer of music. This was the scene at Blackware Fields in June, as the site was being prepared for a series of outdoor concerts featuring artists like Stevie Wonder and Alanis Morissette. Cardiff Council say they were a success and want to do it all over again. Lewis Capaldi is set to perform there next year.
Concert attendance was over 100,000 for the 4 live events that went ahead. We had 15% increase in sales across the city and good feedback from hospitality and retail. I think we're looking somewhere in the region of £26 million worth of spend across Cardiff, but we're waiting for the full impact assessment, but broadly positive across the whole city.
Big events in Cardiff's parks are nothing new, but the Blackware concerts led to concerns that this part of Bute Park would be out of bounds for the local community for weeks on end. Over 2,000 people signed a petition saying the public shouldn't be banned from their own park. Some community groups aren't convinced about the benefits to the city and its residents.
There are bigger issues involved. I mean, we've always had major events in Cardiff that people have accepted for a few days. Nobody really complains about the fact there's a rugby international and OK, today you can't do this. But the emphasis on Cardiff becoming a destination city means that we are seeing more and more and more of these with increasing pressure on the infrastructure.
There's an old woodland there, there's a bat meadow there, that people play cricket there, and they haven't been able to do that because of the concerts. And I'm sure that the standard of the concerts was great, but I think that they could have put them somewhere else.
Cardiff Council say they listen to concerns and will seek planning permission ahead of next year's concerts so that local people can have their say.
So very much working with people to make sure that we lessen the impact of park restrictions, and working with the promoter to shorten that window of time where the parts of the park might be inaccessible.
The council say the concerts provide an income for them to invest in live music venues and park improvements. But opponents say losing access to their parks is a price they don't want to pay.
A campaign to turn an old library in Deiniolen in Gwynedd into a community hub has reached its fundraising goal thanks to a donation from the cycling boss, Sir Dave Brailsford. Well, the community needed to raise £20,000 towards the project to buy the old library and the snooker club. The target has been reached by today's deadline thanks to a £10,000 donation from Sir Dave Brailsford. The former director of British Cycling grew up in the village. Now, tonight's sport, and the weather may not be ideal, but Thomas has some cricket news, don't you?
Claire, thank you very much. Yes, after an encouraging first ever season, Glamorgan's women must use their progress as a springboard towards becoming fully professional in 2 years. That's the message tonight from the side's head coach and captain. While the Welsh county lost the One Day Cup final at the weekend, they have exceeded expectations this season, which also saw them reach the semi-finals of the 20 overs competition. Worcester at the weekend and Glamorgan's first cup final in their first season. The result was as bleak as the weather, beaten comfortably by Yorkshire. The encounter shortened because of the rain. But in defeat, there's optimism too.
I think initially we didn't necessarily know what the season would bring. And like I said, we're really proud to have achieved what we have this season, and we'll look to obviously improve on that next season and then into Tier 1 for 2027.
In other words, a fully professional side. That's what Yorkshire, celebrating yesterday, will be from next season. It'll be a crucial time for Glamorgan too. They will be able to offer professional contracts from next June before turning fully professional themselves the following year.
That's a date that we've always got in the back of our mind and something that we're moving towards and planning for. So, look, we'll all go and have a bit of a break now, and it's been a long season for the girls, obviously having to work and train as much as they have. They need a good break now, but yeah, obviously we've got lots of dates in the back of our mind.
It's all part of the England and Wales Cricket Board's long-term plan for the sport. They're ploughing in around £5 million into the women's game over the next 3 years, taking the total to around £16 million. It hopes the plans could lead to an 80% increase in professional women's players in Wales and England by 2029. Big decisions lie ahead then for these players, who all have jobs away from the sport. The captain is a teacher, so will she accept one of those professional deals?
Oh, look, the 11-year-old me dreamt of being a professional cricketer, would absolutely love to be one. So we will see where that takes us. What a fantastic place for women's cricket to be in. So, yeah, I know that there will be lots of girls looking to be in a professional side, and they work really hard to achieve that.
After a long campaign, juggling cricket with work commitments, these players are taking a break before returning in November. Well, the men's side could seal promotion to Division 1 of the County Championship this week with a game to spare, but there was no play today against Derbyshire because of high winds in Derby, making conditions dangerous. Lewis Rhys-Zammit's comeback match was the first of some big steps in getting back onto the rugby pitch. That's according to Bristol boss Pat Lam. In his first match in 20 months, Rhys-Zammit played 30 minutes of Bristol Bears' Prem Rugby Cup defeat by Sale. It was his first game since he left the sport to pursue a career in American football. The Cardiff Devils have had an eventful start to the new season. The opening game was delayed because their bus broke down en route to Nottingham, but they went on to seal their first win in the city for 2 years. Then yesterday, a 3-2 victory against Sheffield Steelers, the winner coming in overtime. The Steelers had 33 shots on target. No wonder then the Devils goalie Christian Stover, who saved 31 of them, was named man of the match. Pretty impressive, unlike the weather. Sabrina's here. Any improvement on the way?
Hi, Thomas. Yes, things will gradually improve overnight. I wouldn't really say it's going to turn calm, but certainly less wet and less windy compared with what many of us have seen. And through the week ahead, I think generally speaking, it does look to be pretty unsettled with more showers and longer spells of rain. coming up in the forecast. So the Met Office wind warning that all of us were under earlier has now expired. Natural Resources Wales still have 6 flood alerts in place. That's for some of the rivers in North Wales. So over the last few days, we have seen some big waves, power cuts and fallen trees. One thing to note, this wasn't a named storm. It wasn't Storm Amy. It was a deep area of low pressure that didn't get named by the Met Office or the Irish Weather Service. So in terms of peak wind gusts then, we saw 66 miles per hour. That's for Aberdaron on the Llŷn Peninsula. This is an exposed spot, especially with a southwesterly breeze. And then we had lots of rain, didn't we? I know lots of us yesterday saw this persistent rain. Some of that was on the heavy side and did also allow for some flash flooding. Now this evening then, I think it's still quite blustery out there. The thickest cloud and areas of rain in parts of North Wales. Further south, some clearer skies, more in the way of some well-scattered showers. I think it will be a breezy night. You will notice the winds, but as I mentioned earlier, the wind strength will come down compared with what we have seen recently. Windiest in parts of the northwest and the far south, where I think locally those gusts of around 40 to 55 miles per hour. As for tomorrow's forecast then, a tale of two halves. So daylight hours, you will notice an improvement, more in the way of sunny spells, a few scattered showers and areas of cloud. Now it will be a rather breezy day, but again, those wind gusts not as high as what we have seen today and also what we saw yesterday. Cloud will thicken through the afternoon. That's ahead of this band of rain that will start to sweep in towards evening, some of which will be on the heavy side with daytime highs 15 to 17 Celsius. Then we turn our attention to this system. So it's another area of low pressure, a couple of weather fronts associated with this. This will bring more in the way of persistent rain. That's Tuesday night into Wednesday. I do think some of it will be on the heavy side, especially over some of the hills. So once again, there will be the chance for some localised flooding. So Wednesday then, starting on an unsettled note, that rain will largely clear through. Behind that, it should brighten up. But I do think it could linger for some parts of the day, mainly in parts of the south, southeast. And temperatures will be a touch higher, actually, so up to about 17 to 19 Celsius. But through Wednesday, it will be another windy day where some of those gusts could be around 40 to 45 miles per hour. Then looking at Thursday and Friday, we've got this waving weather front with us, so it will tend to wave in one direction and then wave back in another. That means we don't have that much confidence in terms of the location of the rain, but generally speaking, some areas of rain are expected for parts of Wales through Thursday and Friday. Another area of low pressure moving in Saturday and Sunday, so with that more wet and breezy conditions. So overall it does look to be pretty unsettled, but compared with what we have seen, things will improve somewhat. That's your latest. Claire.
Sabrina, thank you very much. We will be back with an update for you after the 10 o'clock news, but that is Wales Today. Thank you for watching from me and all of us on the team. Enjoy your evening. Good night.